Claps in the chat for Paul. So
I
I
am
give you-
powerful enough to do this.
I give you a discussion on anime. Take it away.
Bottle, we give you the power of friendship.
Discussion about anime. Well, anyway, hello everyone to this fantastic event. The first thing I would like to say is a big thank you and shout out to Miney for, first of all, having me over and, letting me be a part of this. From everything I've heard about Saint Basil's story, it's been genuinely like some of the most heartwarming stuff I've ever heard. So yeah, I was hired today to talk about anime, which is very interesting since I am rather new to the world of anime myself. But bear with me, we can figure this out. Now, when it comes to anime, the first thing that comes to mind is what is a good story? What is a good anime? In the world of entertainment, anime is still kind of a niche. It's not as widely accepted out there as some other types of media, unfortunately, I feel like. Because, well, obviously, like, anime is quite different from Western culture, right? The Japanese culture is very different from our own, and the content itself is different. The storytelling is different. The characters are very unique. And even like the stuff like the world building. So what makes a good story? Well, a good story is one that is fleshed out with developed and interesting and fun to follow characters. Now, it would be impossible to talk about anime without, at least mentioning the world of manga, right? The source material. Now, manga is an art form that can be traced back to, I believe, the 14th century. It's basically what us Westerners, it's very close to what us Westerners know as a comic book, except it's not really a comic book. These are entire stories that are being told in a drawn and text format, which are sometimes ongoing for years and years and years on end. Some of which, don't really have a clear ending in sight. Now, why am I saying this? Because anime, in general, is manga adaptation at its finest, I would say. Now, obviously, there's other types of manga adaptation out there. There's obviously live action stuff like Alice in Borderland, right? And there's also stuff like novels that are written and video games, all types of sequels and stuff. But anime is the one that medium that truly stands out because that is the visualization of the manga with the mangaka. That's what they call the author of the manga's writing style, their art, and their characters. So if you're new to the world of anime, where would you start? Does chat have any recommendations? I already see a couple of great ones in chat. There's the OG Sailor Moon, Full Metal Alchemist, and Banana Fish, all fantastic stories. But where would you start as a beginner? I feel like there's no quote unquote correct answer. However, I do think there is anime that is in general a lot more digestible for the Western audience to get them more kind of like used to the art form that is anime. And those are stories like, in my opinion, Attack on Titan, Death Note, stuff like that. Now, why am I mentioning these two specifically? And Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, actually. I think those three series are a fantastic beginning point for anyone who is likely going to be getting into anime.
While while all of them are like very good for first anime, I think Attack on Titan is the best, as you mentioned, because it's the best to digest by the Western audience who is not used to the anime tropes. which are kind of relevant, which are kind of still used in the other mentioned series.
Oh yeah, true. Mark, by the way, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining this discussion.
I'm a supporting character.
A supporting character, that's true.
What about supporting character?
Secondary main character, let's go. Can you be the main character? And then never mind. So anyway, I see something in chat by Winter. Really good point. Ghibli movies are a fantastic gateway for Disney fans. And in general, I feel like Studio Ghibli movies are very easily enjoyed by the wider audience.
I agree.
Yeah. But let's take it back to what you said about Attack on Titan, because I agree. I know some people in chat are gonna be expecting this rant from me. However, Attack on Titan is literally the perfect introduction to anime, in my opinion. Now, let me get into the reasonings as of why. First of all, as you mentioned, it is very reserved with the different anime tropes that we will come to be used to. Second, the writing, pacing, and character development of Attack on Titan is very consistent with a story. It was written by Hajime Isayama. The series got serialized in, I believe it was Shonen Jump in 2009. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, it's been going on basically since 2009 to 2021. And since the creator was very, very self-conscious about his work and his art in general, there was a very big chance of his series getting cancelled, unfortunately. So he was forced to think of an ending very early on. Now, what that did for the series as a whole is it actually managed to kind of like bind it in a level of consistency where it itself always knew where it was going. So what does a good story need to do? First of all, it needs to hook us. And Attack on Titan, in my opinion, has one of the best hooks in all of media. I don't think I've seen a first episode as intriguing and overall just like shocking as the first episode of Attack on Titan. We get introduced to some of the main characters, not going to spoil much. We get introduced to a mystery, the threat, and an end goal, so to speak. And the first chapter of Attack on Titan, which is 50-something pages long, shares the name with the first episode. It's To You in 2,000 Years, The Fall of Shiganshina, Part 1, which is quite the mouthful. And it all of it circles back a couple of seasons later with the arc, The Return to Shiganshina District. Okay, so first of all, let's break down a little bit what Attack on Titan is about without spoiling anything. Basically, there's not much of humanity left. They're trapped within these giant walls, and they're trying to survive. And behind the walls are man-eating titans that just eat people. We don't know why. And the series basically follows humanity as they deal with these monsters. Some very interesting philosophical questions and morals are brought up, as well as some very, very interesting philosophical ideas in terms of humanity as a whole. Like, is humanity able to change? Is humanity good? Do they deserve to survive? Stuff like that. Humanity, cattle. The world is cruel in Attack on Titan, and what makes that series stand out, and in my opinion, it's what got me into anime. Like, my first anime wasn't that; it was Death Note, which I'll talk about in a minute. But Attack on Titan is the series that seriously got me interested into anime, because after I finished season 2, I found myself in a situation where I wanted more, so I actually went over to check out the manga and continue reading, which I don't think any other medium has done to me before. Like, obviously there's shows like Game of Thrones, which are awesome and have like extensive source material, but I was never kind of like interested enough to look there. And
what about Lord of the Rings?
Oh, now wait just a minute. We don't
okay.
we don't touch the golden goose of fiction. Okay.
Okay.
It's my precious.
Yes, exactly. um, but yeah, so a great starting anime for anyone who is interested into getting into the medium. Attack on Titan. Great soundtrack, great writing, great characters. It's gonna make you cry. I can almost guarantee, especially if you're like an emotional person like me. It has made me cry multiple times, and the creator himself, from all the interviews I've seen and all of the posts he's made public, looks like a really fantastic person in general. Now, Mark, do you have anything to add?
I am actually amazed about the amount of research you did around the topic and genesis of like creation of Attack on Titan. So far, I don't think I have. I could expand on whatever you said about the series itself.
So it's time to talk about genres, and you're probably gonna be better at this than I am.
Because I've watched fair share of not so great series in my life, which means I kind of have some diverse choices.
Yeah, which is awesome.
I have recently been watching an anime genre that most people don't touch, and that is an anime about trading card games.
Is it Yu-Gi-Oh?
Not Yu-Gi-Oh!
Ooh,
Not
which
this
one is
time.
it?
Card Fight Vanguard.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, same. I've heard of it. I'm usually not interested in this kind of series because I didn't play the card game myself, and usually that's one kind of anime that appears not only for this kind of games, but also kind of goes on whatever Portal said earlier. Sometimes anime works as an very extensive advertisement.
Yeah,
Just like
it kind of
Yu-Gi-Oh
does. Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh was essentially a very good advertisement for the card game. Vanguard
Other
also
than
is.
in the opening series of Yu-Gi-Oh, it kind of broke its own walls.
Oh, come on! Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters is an underrated masterpiece. Like we can,
Oh yeah,
we can't really, we can't really claim otherwise, especially with bangers such as like Pot of Greed and Rise White Dragon. And by the way, on the topic of Yu-Gi-Oh, real quick, I don't like filler arcs. Like filler arcs are what usually happens in anime between big events in the story. Which is another good part about Attack on Titan. It practically doesn't even have a filler arc.
The filler arcs are needed whenever the series goes on for a very long period of time weekly.
Yeah.
Because Attack on Titan was being released throughout like 10 years almost. There was no need for that because the space between episodes was filled with nothing instead of filler.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's a very common. That's actually a very common thing when in series that this kind of goes in a seasonal pattern, but not necessarily just going season by season. For like there were many series like that. For example, ReZero, which had 2 seasons. The period between those 2 seasons was, I believe, 3 years.
Yeah.
It was specifically because they didn't want to come into issues where they have to put out low effort filler arc where they don't really do anything special, just so they can buy some time for animators to actually work on the canon events.
Yeah, exactly. So
sorry to interrupt, guys. We've had another donation.
Ooh.
Proxy has donated £30.
Thank you so much, Proxy. Let's go. Have we gotten the next goal yet?
Not yet. That's at 300. So we're about £70 shy.
Ooh, all right. Let's keep it going, chat. Let's keep it going. It's for a great cause. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to mention because we were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh, and Mark just explained filler arcs. So, in my opinion, Yu-Gi-Oh unironically has one of the best filler arcs that I've personally ever watched and enjoyed in anime. That arc is.
I think I know which one is second best.
What was it? Tale of the Dragons. It's the Orichalcos arc. I forgot like. It's something dragons. It escaped my tongue. It was like cooking up in my brain for a second, but it escaped. It's basically about the king of Atlantis who has been brought back to life by a creature called the Great Leviathan and is trying to take over the world. And for some reason, that is a filler arc. And it's such an amazing filler arc that it somehow manages to develop almost every single character more than any arc before it, except for maybe Duelist Kingdom. Which is pretty crazy. I loved every second of that arc, so it's kind of crazy to me that it wasn't even in the manga. But then again, let's be honest, the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, there's a lot in there that wasn't in the manga. Those are like two completely different mediums.
There's also a bunch of things that are in anime but not in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, the rules of Yu-Gi-Oh are practically non-existent in there, but
Yeah.
but yeah. So the Vanguard anime, what is it about except the card game? Tell us more, Eight.
The card game, the most recent season of the anime, it's basically a clash between certain card fighters that have their own specialized Vanguard unit that are in a kind of tournament arc sense, but with high stakes of like a creation force element being tied to the fights. So whoever wins it gets a wish, so to speak, but with a kind of being kind of pulling the strings for their own benefits at the same time.
So the selling point of the series is that they are playing essentially the same game people are playing IRL, but
Yes.
they are getting additional rewards for winning, which have like viable real life value.
Yes, for example, in the
real
previous
life
season,
real for the characters, of course.
Yeah, the previous season, the winner of that won. His wish was to make sure that his sister recovered from this illness that was uncurable.
Ooh, fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, tournament arcs are in general quite popular with anime, especially with shonen. I guess
because it's a very easy to kind of fill up with the content, right? And also display characters individually.
Yeah. Also, I feel like we should explain what shonen is. Mark, what's shonen?
Shonen, essentially from Japanese, is a young man or just a boy, and that's essentially the target audience. Young guys who just want to watch something action-packed, which doesn't necessarily require much thinking, but is entertaining as hell.
Yes, there is also non-battle shonen like Death Note, which is pretty great. A lot of people used to tell me that Death Note is the best anime to start with. It's actually the one I was recommended. It was one of my first anime I ever watched. That and Hellsing Ultimate.
It was recommended as a beginning one for a long years because it was ahead of its time. I'm just gonna say. Death Note already is still aging well, but right now there are series comparable to it. But at the time, it was ahead of its times.
Yeah, the anime that I started with was Sword Art Online.
Ooh.
If you die in the game, you die in real life. So
Yeah.
I cannot pause the game on the classic. That's also one of the earlier ones I started with. I watched my first one was actually ReZero. It's not that
wow.
It's not that old. I started watching in 2017, so only 7 years of experience. But yeah, Sword Art Online was already out at the time. It was still very popular. There were 2 seasons out at the time.
The second
And,
season kind of dipped a little bit, and then it's further
I-
dipping.
Yeah, but I agree. Second half of the second season was not as enjoyable. However, I still enjoyed the series as a whole. It kind like the whole concept. Oh, another term we're gonna introduce, isekai.
Mhm.
Isekai means the main character is transported to another world from the one they originate from. and
Usually by Truck-kun.
Not always, of course. But yeah, Truck-kun, it's a common meme in anime culture. Very often, when a character is getting transported to another world, it's through reincarnation, which
Yeah.
happens after the character dies in their real life. Often, as in a car accident, including like truck.
Yeah.
In that case, this car is usually referred to as Truck-kun, where kun is a suffix added to also like boyish characters. Not just characters, they use it in real life as well. The Japanese people, it's hard to explain the suffixes they use. It's sort of how we call someone Mr. Someone. They have instead of prefixes, they have suffixes, and there's a much wider variety of them.
Yes.
And kun is usually, not necessarily always, but usually used while talking about younger men.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now,
So where did we stray out from?
yeah, on the topic of
Mhm.
isekai, Re:Zero was actually my first one as well. However, I'm very impressed that it was your first anime because a lot of people would find Re:Zero as not very easily digestible, if you know what I mean.
I wanted
It
to
is
quit on episode 1.
really,
Yes, Pac
yeah.
was is such an anime character. I kind of wanted, I kind of felt like not finishing it, but I gave it a chance, and I
Yeah.
think I did correct. I did the right choice.
Yeah, so on the topic of anime tropes, I'm pretty sure Re:Zero has like all of them.
Yes.
Which I'm like, I'm a person that can easily get tired of a trope if it's too much in your face and overused again and again and again. But for some reason in Re:Zero, even though it's filled with all these tropes, like there's everything you can think of. There's talking animals, there's cat people, there's a main character who is insecure of himself and is being a douche to everybody without realizing it. There's all of those things, right? There's a cute girl, which is basically the main character's main objective. There's other cute girls. But for some reason, Re:Zero, and that's actually another thing about the series, is it is written so cleverly and well that it just keeps you enticed, right? Like it just keeps you watching, and all of a sudden you realize, holy shit, the message they're pushing here, which you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the message of Re:Zero is basically learn to love
Yourself.
Yes, yourself and those around you, but before you learn to love others, learn to love yourself.
Exactly.
And which is such a beautiful and powerful message to convey, and in my opinion it's conveyed in a beautiful way. The soundtrack is also fantastic. Now the writer of Re:Zero actually worked at a meat shop for many years while writing the novels. This one's actually based on light novels and not on a manga, so the source material for this anime is different.
Yes, that was one thing I wasn't sure if I wanted to interrupt you or not when you mentioned anime is essentially manga adaptations, but
not always. Like
not,
obviously
not always.
there's
There are
exclusive
manga.
anime.
There are
Yeah.
a lot. When you see an anime with a very long title, it's safe to assume it's based on a novel.
Yeah.
It's a common theme in light novels in Japan to have long titles because the writers realized the young people tend to not check the description of the book at the like back of it, but instead they are just checking the title and judge the book based on the title itself, not even by the cover, just by the title.
Yeah, the titles will grabs.
Which is why it became kind of normal to briefly to describe the story within the title.
Yeah, I
So full title of Re:Zero is restarting life in another world from zero. That's a full title. So it kind of matches that. Besides that, there are also anime based on games. There's, for example, Angels of Death, which is based on an RPG Maker game. Like someone just make an a game in RPG Maker, and it was so good. They actually made anime based on it.
Was the Corpse Party game anime also based on the game?
I'm
Or
not
was
sure
it
about
the other
order,
way
but
around?
yeah, I'm not sure about the order in this case. But stuff like
Yeah.
Azure Lane, which is also anime based on mobile game, just working as an advertisement for this mobile game.
Yeah.
But there are also anime only like
Animes,
anime
yeah.
which had no source material. They are source on for themselves. For
There's-
example, Vivi, which was also anime directed, like with a story written by Tape Nagotsuki, the author of the ReZero. It's anime only. It doesn't have source material, and it's great. It's a
The
story
Ghibli
about
movies as well, right?
yeah, actually good example.
Yeah.
Vivi, it's from like 2022, I believe, 21. A story about a robot singer who's learning how to kind of live a life on her own, kind of in a world where the difference between humans and robots are kind of fading away.
Damn, robots need to teach me how to sing ASAP, man.
Yeah. You said there was an anime that had like its own RPG maker, but there was actually a JRPG that had its own like manga tied to it that was actually more in depth than the actual game itself. Because the game itself was Breath of Fire 4, which had the suffix the unfading ones, but the manga itself was the unfading ones Breath of Fire 4.
I also just remembered also another game with anime being made around it, where the anime, while didn't follow the story of the game itself, it resembled the path the player was taking within the game pretty well. Can you think what I'm talking about? It's a pretty well known anime.
Wait, come again? Can you repeat that?
I'm talking about Pokemon.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
I
one.
didn't really watch Pokemon.
Another
I was one for Digimon.
another insanely popular anime, which was essentially made as an advertisement for a game, for a series of games.
Yeah, true.
But it's kind of it works like making anime as an advertisement for their source material. Like Portal said, he started reading Attack on Titan after watching season 2. It literally works.
Yeah, it just works, and that's not the only example. The most recent example I have is actually, I don't know if you guys have had this feeling where, well, Mark said he had it with ReZero, but where you start a show or an anime and you're like, this is not for me, right? Like you instantly just like want to quit.
For me, it's Bleach.
Yeah, but then you keep
watching,
but then you keep watching, and then you're either amazed or like it breaks you. Two examples come to mind for me that are relatively recent, both from last year. One is Vinland Saga, and the other one is Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, Jujutsu Kaisen
I've literally just started Jujutsu Kaisen.
Now, Jujutsu Kaisen is the show that I did not like season 1. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I thought season 1 was very boring. I thought the characters were uninteresting. I thought the concept of telling a story through battles, because Jujutsu Kaisen has like a big fight almost every episode. I thought that was pretty cool, but it didn't really go anywhere. But then season 2 came out, and it blew me away so much that I once again found myself in a situation where I guess I'm reading the manga, and if I look to my right now, I have like 11 Jujutsu Kaisen volumes, something like that.
So
just because just because of that, and it's really crazy how like
I'm looking behind myself and I see 42 ReZero volumes. So
42. Let's go.
40.
Damn, I'm kind of jealous. I need to get those myself. Yeah, ReZero is awesome.
The thing is, Polish translation is ahead of English translation.
Oh,
the
damn.
official one. Of course, there is unofficial translations found online, which is up to date with Japanese one. But yeah, one Vaneko, which is Polish translator, is way ahead of what was her name? The English translators, Jan Press, I think Jan Press.
I
Polish,
wouldn't know.
Polish
I wouldn't
and Brazilian Portuguese, I think, are way ahead of English translations.
Yeah, that's really cool. Imagine Bulgaria getting anything translated. But yeah, the other example. First of all, a little bit of a word about Jujutsu Kaisen. It is your standard, typical shonen series. It's written by Gege Akutami. It's a relatively new quote unquote series. Came out like last 5 years or so. I think first season is 2020. So it's a rather fresh series, and it's still ongoing. It's in its final arc right now, the manga. And the anime just finished its second season this last season. And it was amazing. Like, I think the thing it does best is introduce interesting characters and then have them interact with each other in a fun way. You know what I mean? And then the power system is really cool in Jujutsu Kaisen. One of the coolest and most creative I think I've ever seen. There's some really creative shit in there. But yeah, basically what you can expect is a story that unfolds through fights in a very action-packed show. So if you're into action and don't like care about too much about story and stuff, then it's definitely the anime for you. But it's still gonna make you emotional at times, especially during season 2. And the other example I had was Vinland Saga, which is a Viking story, which I started. I watched the first 10 episodes. I was like, this is not for me. I continued watching, and then by the end of season 2, I was bawling my eyes out because, of course, I was. This just goes to say that no matter, like, even if we believe that something is not for us, it's probably worth giving it a shot just to, check out if, and after all, someone put a lot of work and thought into it, and maybe it would be worth experiencing. You know what I mean?
I've had similar experience initially with Steins Gate, a series essentially about time traveling, where in the first, I believe, 10 episodes, nothing really is clear. It's hard to tell why anything happens. It's very confusing, just because it literally takes like 10 episodes for series to actually start. It was hard to get into the series, but once the series actually starts, it's simply amazing. One of the best time travel stories.
Interesting. I've not
Yeah.
not one I've actually watched.
Yeah, same. I need to check it out. So what's your guys' opinion on like a mega long series?
I
You
don't
like One
like
Piece?
them because I'm gonna be honest. I don't really like them because it's a lot of effort to just catch up to the current state.
Yeah,
And
stuff like One
this
Piece.
effort could be also put into. I know, like, One Piece definitely is probably worth the effort. However, for the same amount of time I would have to invest into watching One Piece, I have different ways to entertain myself, including different anime. And
Mhm.
probably I would be entertained, like, in my head, I feel like I'm gonna be entertained more watching 10 different series than watching, actually, at this point, it's getting much more than 10 series, than watching One Piece. Like, definitely it's probably one in its own kind story, but I still feel like overall entertainment value is just not worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's just my take, and I know it's not 100% correct. And if someone else likes watching longer series, then it's definitely for them. I prefer like medium-sized series where it probably takes like
Fascinating.
I prefer the stories that actually have an ending.
Yeah, that's an absolutely fair take.
Mhm.
What about you, Eighth? How do you feel about long series like Fairy Tail, One Piece, Detective Con?
I'd actually find it very intimidating to get into because you'd have to spend most of your time just catching up.
Mm-hmm.
So it, for me, just on that front, it would probably just push me away from even starting the series.
As I said, like for me, the end of the story is where the most of the story of the value of the story like lies. So if I'm not even promised to like witness the end of the story for like a year or so, I just don't feel like.
Yeah, I read somewhere that the creator of Hunter x Hunter has been worried about whether or not they'll actually be alive to finish the series, so they ended up like telling the ending to their editor or something, and like mapping it out, which is so it just baffles me so much because I get why they're doing it, right? So the creators of Death Note actually made another series after. It's called Bakuman. It's a really good show. It's a slice of
I've
life.
seen it.
Yeah, it's a slice of life about two kids making manga. Basically, and it's a really good slice of life because it basically tells the story of the authors who wrote Death Note, which is a really good story. And
I
it
have
tells.
one. I would have also one thing I have to admit about Death Note.
Mhm.
I didn't finish it.
That's fair.
I like after one without spoiling. You know the main point, at the end of the
You
first
basically
half.
didn't watch part 2, yeah.
Yes, I didn't watch part 2. I watched one episode. I figured it would be better for me to not finish it because I felt satisfied with the ending I received.
Yeah,
And I didn't like the new characters introduced.
yeah. I have a controversial opinion. I actually like part 2 of Death Note, but that's another theme entirely. I understand, Mark, why you did that. The ending of part 1 is masterfully done. But yeah, I wanted to talk about Bakuman a little bit because there's one thing that series shows really well. It's the difficulty of the world of manga, right? How difficult it is to get serialized, to get started, to get a series going, and basically to just draw, right? Because you have these two students, you're following them from high school to adulthood as they're making manga, and all of a sudden there's an episode where they attend a school meetup from like their high school, and they realize that they haven't had a single vacation or a party or anything like that for many years. And that's kind of the world of a mangaka nowadays. A series that sells must continue, uh, unless unless the circumstances are like very specific. So stuff like One Piece, One Punch Man, Hunter x Hunter, all of these series, they're probably pushing the mangaka to continue because they're selling and they're doing well. Now, when it comes to longer series, I don't enjoy them either. I have tried getting into One Piece, I think 3 times. People are like, wait until episode 254 or something, and I'm like, I don't have that time anymore, sadly.
Yeah, it's like episode 254 out of over 1,000.
Yeah, and I don't even believe One Piece's hook is strong enough. I'm sure there's amazing stuff in One Piece. Don't get me wrong. I've heard there's some amazing writing, some amazing characters and stuff. There's even characters I like in One Piece. But my problem with it is very similar to Mark's. When it comes to a story that I enjoy, a story needs to be mapped out. A story needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And those need to be like mapped out. Like those need to exist. I gave Attack.
Fun fact: ReZero already has like a scheduled ending. Like there's like it was confirmed how many arcs it's gonna have. Like because the ending is already designed out.
Yeah, I remember reading something about that. Yeah, that's really cool. But that's what matters. Like if an author doesn't know where they are going with the story, I believe so. I could be wrong about this, but reading Jujutsu Kaisen in its like most recent chapters, it doesn't feel like the story knows where it's going at this point.
Yeah,
We've
a
basically been having
similar
we've
case
ba-
in point is Dragon Ball Z. It was meant to end on the Cell arc, and yet it was pushed for more.
Yeah, pretty much. I had a very weird experience with Mark while we're watching Black Clover right now, and I love the series. He knows there's some tropes in there that work really well, but I had a really weird experience where uh, a certain event in the series felt like the ending, and then it continued, and then there was 20 episodes of just nothing.
Literally.
And I was like, what? And all of a sudden,
There was a moment when we were watching together, and I was like, "Portal, can we skip to the next episode?"
yeah,
And Portal agreed because the episode we were watching was so unnecessary, and it was obvious that nothing important is going to happen.
yeah.
It's one that I've been recommended to watch as well. So
Besides that, like this one segment of few dozens episodes, this one segment is bad. Let's put it straight. Like how
Yeah,
it is.
you can skip
However-
that segment. Like I watched all of the episodes, and then we got to the point where it got all of a sudden the quality went from like 0 to the sky really quickly, and I'm like, holy shit, I love this again. And
Yes,
that
but
it's one of those.
there's only a segment.
yeah, and you can skip
Just a
that
segment.
segment. You would literally lose nothing if you skip those 20 episodes. It's
Besides
crazy.
that, the series is amazing.
It really is an amazing series. Let's talk about Black Clover a little bit because it has impressed me. It's one of the coziest series that I've personally ever watched. It's about this boy who can't use magic that is born in a world where everything is magic, right? Everyone is wizards. They're using all sorts of magic for jobs, for fighting, for protecting their families, basically for anything, for everyday tasks. And they use like all sorts of magic, like elemental magic, and it gets really creative in there. But that one boy cannot use magic, and he is determined to become the Wizard King. And that's all you need to know about the concept of Black Clover. Because without spoiling anything, it's a really really good show. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did when I went into it, because the main character can be a little obnoxious at times, but I trusted Mark, and it was the right call. It really was
There's another anime that's very similar to it, but I can't remember the name of it. But the main character is Marsh. I think it's Mash. It's literally bodybuilds.
It's martial magic and like combination of magic and muscle. It's a combination of Black Clover, One Punch Man, and Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's also a new anime that's currently coming out.
Wisteria.
Yeah, Wisteria, which really reminded me of
my eye
Black
on it.
Clover as I started it.
Wisteria is very good.
Yeah, it and the animation is like amazing
Gorgeous.
in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Speaking of gorgeous animation, did any of you two watch Solo Leveling?
I have.
Actually, Solo Leveling is the reason I'm reading Korean manhwas.
Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
That one is Korean.
Yes, it is.
Yes, the source material itself. However, the animation, of course, still is Japanese.
Yeah, they kept the names though.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be weird if they just kind of went with like their own translations of names, like some translations of Harry Potter too.
Yeah, I'm very happy Bulgarian did not do that, man. That was
Polish did not either.
yeah.
Trying to do that in English is going to be hard as well.
Solo Leveling is a very good story. I wouldn't say it's like a top like insane tier, but it got me hooked up and introduced me to the tropes existing within like Korean like media culture. And yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. As I said, I'm still reading quite a few webtoons, Korean webtoons. I like them, and it is all because I watched like 4 episodes of Let's Solo Leveling and decided I cannot wait for the next episode. I'm just gonna read it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I should read it as well.
I've heard comments like online that the anime for Solo Leveling is not as great as the source material.
Yeah, there's a few
I'm
pieces missing from it.
I'm gonna say I disagree. I feel like personally the reason people don't like the animation as much as they did the source material is because they already read the source material, so anything they read after they consume afterwards doesn't have the shock factor because they already know what's going to happen, which is exactly why the value of the anime goes down for those people specifically.
A little bit
However,
of a
I decided did my best to just kind of get rid of this like part in my mindset, and I really think the anime was great. Especially like what is the main benefit of the anime? Animation. That's one thing, and animation was great. Especially if I second last episode without spoiling with whom, but yeah, it amazed me a lot. Another thing they did better in the anime than they did in manga. That was one of my main complaints about the like source material. They did not develop the main character enough, in my opinion, in the source material. However, they put a lot more effort into this developing the mindset, the struggles of the main character, the internal struggles, whatever happens in his brain whenever he uses his power. They do it much more in the anime they even did in the webtoon. And another thing, like in the webtoon, every single other character existed solely to display how much the main character is stronger than everyone else. They were just used as a benchmark rather than characters in the webtoon. However, in the anime, they put a lot more time showing different characters doing their everyday life stuff, showing how they work, showing what they do.
They humanized them, basically.
Yes, and I think that's why anime is, in my opinion, anime so far was better than the source material for those three things alone. And I honestly believe people who are saying anime was worse are just not thinking about the thing. They know the story, so there's no shock factor whenever something happens.
Yeah, it's a whole symphony of the mind kind of picturing thing with the manga side of things over what the anime is actually showing.
When you're reading the source material, you're thinking what is gonna happen next. When you're watching the adaptation, you're thinking, I wonder how it's gonna look.
Yeah.
It's a massive difference. It's a massive difference. There's no shock factor while watching like adaptation of for a series you already know.
Yeah, when I read ahead of Attack on Titan, and then experienced the anime, I had like a similar experience to Mark's, where I feel like the anime did the specific combinations of scenes better. It's in season 3, the Return to Shiganshina arc. Basically, the 3 episodes that were for a little bit of time rated like the highest TV episodes of all time. If you know which ones I'm talking about, yeah. I was shocked at how much better than the manga that was done. It legitimately shocked me. So yeah, that was also a little bit of a tangent. Apparently, Hiroyuki Sawano, who composed the soundtrack for Attack on Titan, also composed the soundtrack for Solo Leveling.
Yes, he did.
And he is a beast of a composer. Like, what the hell? That man is able to produce music from the gods, and make it look effortless. Anyway, Eighth, what's your opinion on solo leveling?
You guys have basically covered it perfectly. Like everything I was going to say has been said already.
Oh, okay, I see. And yeah, is there anything other anime related that we can talk about? I mean, we can talk about romance, but it's been a while since I've watched one, to be honest.
Same.
The first one I'm watching currently, like you know, from this season. What was the exact name? I'm trying to look it up,
Ooh.
but it was something like Alia sometimes hides her feelings in Russian.
Uh-huh.
Oh yes, because like we are talking about the great series, the amazing series, the timeless series. However, we have to remember that's not what anime is all about. Anime is all about finding the most entertaining way to spend your time, and sometimes it's just watching some not so great series, but entertaining enough to just have a fun time.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's one of those series. It's more of a guilty pleasure. It's entertaining to just watch some unrealistic stuff happening in high school. Okay,
That's the one about the girl who expresses her feelings in Russian, right?
that's in the title exactly.
Okay, yeah. Nice.
The premise of the story is there's two people in the class, boy and a girl, and the girl is
Okay.
I am
Hello.
so sorry. I didn't know that was still on. My bad.
oopsie.
It's like
Well,
The
that's
girl-
an entrance.
the girl,
Yeah, it is.
yeah, that's an entry definitely.
I want to jump into your previous conversation about animes fitting the mangas.
Mhm.
Full Metal Alchemist, right? Full
Yeah.
Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was very good when it came to the manga. But in my personal opinion, when it came to Full Metal Alchemist, not Brotherhood, the other one, the character
The
development,
initial one, yeah.
the character development was just superior. Like when what's his face, the one with the daughter, when he gets killed, I cried. I'm not even like lying. I cried when that happened. When it happened in Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, it didn't have the same effect because you didn't have half as much screen time with him. Like,
Yeah, he died
Just-
in like episode 5 or 6. Spoilers, I guess, but
it's been
oh
out
no.
for years, like,
Yeah,
like
true.
decades
Spoilers.
old.
Ooh.
But like with Brotherhood, it didn't have the same effect. It didn't hit as hard, and like having his like daughter crying in Full Metal Alchemist, you're just like, like, because he just always wanted to show off pictures of his daughter and stuff like that, and he was such a doting father that like it just didn't hit the same. So like, I personally feel some animes that do better towards like the mangas are fine, but when it came to Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I preferred the way Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood ended, but Full Metal Alchemist, like I said, the character development, the story writing, it was just chef's kiss.
Yeah, I can see that honestly.
Is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood still the highest rated anime ever?
I don't know if it's the
It-
highest rated.
It's up there. I know that much.
My anime list, top anime. Oh,
Also,
okay.
hello,
It was not okay. So Free Run was not different. So yeah, Sosona Free Run is currently the top rated anime from essentially beginning of this year, kind of last season of previous year and first season of this year. Also amazing fantasy series.
Agreed.
I couldn't get into it. My fiance loved it. My brother-in-law, he really identified with the main character. I couldn't get into it.
Because not every series is for everyone. That's
Yeah,
but-
and that's beautiful.
But
And on
like
that,
that's one more. Don't change it. We got a minute.
we got a minute, sure.
Uh,
Have you guys seen To Your Eternity?
I have
I've
not.
To Your Eternity. Wait, I need to Google it because
It's got one of the best voice actors of our time ever as the narrator.
I've seen I think 6 episodes. I don't remember why I dropped it. I think I just didn't have time the following week, and so and then I did not catch up. But yes, it's amazing. It's amazing. That's for sure.
It's
I
it's
just
honest
didn't
art.
finish it.
It's honestly it is a work of art. The writing, the style. It starts off very slow, but like it is a fantastic. Like if you want to see art on TV, check out that. Like honestly, it is absolutely great. The beginning part is a bit slow moving, and then the second season it was a bit frustrating, but like honestly, top tier anime. If you liked Furion, you're definitely gonna like To Your Eternity.
Nice. All right,
Definitely
and
a
on
good
that note,
recommendation.
we must continue with the stream. However, before we go, a question to anybody: what is one anime you would recommend to anybody? Eighth, you go first.
Ooh. I mean,
Oh.
it's not for everyone, but it literally was my first, so it has a bit of attachment to me. But Sword Art Online, at least for the first two series of it, it's still good at that point. I've not watched the most recent stuff because it kind of dipped for me after that. But the first two series still had me hooked enough
That's
to watch it.
Nice, Mark.
If you mean for everyone, it means both non-anime watchers, but also people who watch anime and might have missed something that just got under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Summertime Render. Also a time travel story about a guy who came back to the island he originated from to partake in. Oh my god, a word. I'm missing a word. A very simple word, but yeah, ceremony of like. His childhood friend died, so he came back to the island he originated from, and like because of it, a series of events started where he had to just make sure everyone survives. It's also a time travel story. It's a very great story. It looks amazing. It kind of flew under the radar, I think. Is it popular or not? It's not that high in popularity according to the My Anime list. So yeah, not many people watched it, and it's amazing. It's an amazing story, amazing conclusion. It's not long. It's worth your time.
Okay, Weasel.
So I did say what I would suggest, but if you want something that's more on the comical side, it's called Mash. I can't remember. It's Mash something Mosh. It's basically
the one I mentioned earlier.
Muscle?
Muscle something.
Muscle, yeah.
It is one of the funniest things I've ever seen and read. And like, if you like One Punch Man, you're gonna like this one.
All right, speaking of One Punch Man, I'm gonna keep it simple and recommend an absolute cliche. Watch Mob Psycho. It's just good. And on that note, we can switch over to Miney.
If he's
If
back.
he's back,
Miney.
I think he's not back.
Yeah,
They-
because he did
they-
send a message in the
Sorry,
Discord.
yeah.
Yes, thank you.
I don't know. Did they?
Well, I mean, in that case, have you guys seen Chainsaw Man?
Yeah, I
I-
actually
yes, I
have
have.
Volume 1 of Chainsaw Man over there.
I
Holy
have,
crap.
I have Pochita t-shirt on myself right now.
It is so
I actually
funny.
haven't finished it because I want to read it first. Instead, I've watched like the first 3 episodes, but then I was like, okay, I need to read this, so like I'm gonna read it and then watch it.
Not to give
Apparently
spoilers
mangaka
or
is
anything like
amazing.
that. But there was this one bit where they're like, two of the characters were like, "We need to be smart about this," and so they put on glasses.
Yep. Yep.
That had
Classic.
me dying. I was in tears laughing at just how silly it is. So it's definitely a good one. I'm a fan
Yeah.
of that one.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we need to keep the conversation going until Miney comes back. So
Oh, if you like, if you want me to go, like, I can talk about. I really like. I think they're called Hideki animes, like the ones where they die and they come back. As,
No, that's
like-
Isekai, right?
Isekai, that's it.
Yeah, we already talked about Isekai. Which is your
Yeah,
favorite?
we
We
just
already
said it just
discussed our
briefly,
love
yeah.
of Breeze Zero.
I died and reincarnated as a slime.
Yes, that's
yeah.
actually a very good one. Yeah.
I've
I
been
need,
Uh,
enjoying
still
that
need to
quite a
watch
bit.
that one.
Another season is currently airing for. It's essentially just imagine your average isekai story is practically playing Skyrim, where the main character just focuses on their own, on themselves, and they just become the most overpowered possible, while also being kind of the most important person just because just like being on their own
It's a bit
and
silly.
maybe having some girls, but whatever. On the other hand, Slime Isekai, Tensura, it's works kind of like Civilization. The main character also becomes OP, also like becomes more and more influential, but not because of like their own strength, as in like alone, but because they became a leader of a country, which they constantly develop. They become like important in the world because of the international politics they kind of impact with their presence. It starts off essentially. It starts off with just a single village of like basic goblins, and then more and more races are coming in. Eventually, people are also like, instead of just monsters, also people are starting to come in and just settle down in his village. Then it becomes a city. Then it becomes an entire country with like advanced infrastructure and technology not seen anywhere else in the world. There are wars, there are international conflicts, there are mass scale genocides.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
It has
rather
it has
interesting.
everything, but the
So
main
it
part.
is. It is quite a bit slow in my opinion. They spend a lot more time sitting around a table talking rather than doing anything.
Just in this season, okay? Like let's be fair, it's a recency bias.
Oh, it's so bad though.
That's just a recency bias. Like I've rewatched the series before the new season came out,
Mhm.
and it's actually good. There is a bit of talking, there is a bit of sitting, but just as I said, it's because international politics are more relevant in this series than in any other I've watched.
The author is very, very good at world building versus, building a world around the character. It's more along Tolkien than it is around. Who's the one that did Lion?
Tolkien is the one word that can make me wet.
Well, yeah, because like
Okay,
Tolkien,
yeah, like
he
maybe-
builds a world and then puts characters in to fit it. Whereas like the guy that did Narnia, he wrote the characters and then built a world around the characters. So it's like a different way of writing the story. Oh,
Lewis,
wait.
was it C.W. Lewis or something?
Yeah, C.W. Lewis.
Another comparison. So C.W. Lewis, or you could also do J.J.R. Martin, the guy that does
J.R.R.
Game
Martin,
of
yeah.
Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
He also
George
writes
R.R.
the
Martin.
characters.
Sorry.
But like it's a very interesting
G.
take on a world building kind of thing, and it's kind of funny. Some of the characters are pretty good.
Yeah.
I
Now
think
Miney
it-
seems to be back.
Hello, honeys.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hello.
Hey,
hello.
Miney! I'm now one of your
How's
mods.
everybody doing? God, who let this man in here?
No comment.
He let himself in.
Hello,
actually.
honeys. How are you doing? Luna here. I forgot how tight this dress is. I love this fan. It's so cool. Just being able to go like.
Okay, so since my part is done, I guess that yeah.
Yes, it was a fun little podcast that we had. Thank you, Mark
Yeah.
and Eighth, for keeping me company, and for Weiss for joining as well.
Well, thank you for allowing me to join.
You're more than welcome.
Now, I admit I'm not at 100% myself, so this support was very much appreciated. Thank you very much, and thank you, Miney, for having me as well, and chat
course.
for listening.
Of course, thank you for very much for being here, especially when you're out. Thank you to Mark and to Weasel for offering the support, and Ave, of course, for being your magnificent self, and Wrench too for just looking pretty. Just like
Now,
me.
can I just Can I just stay in this channel since I'm about to play with you anyway?
Yeah.
No, fuck off.